Alright, how's it going, everybody? I hope you're doing well. I would do an actual intro, but I really don't have time right now. It's currently 1:24 p.m. As you can see, we're doing our pre-flight right now in 9 Charlie Juliet, and we have passengers that should be out of here in Ithaca. They should be out of here by 2, so we really need to get this pre-flight going. Just going to walk around the airplane, make sure everything is set and good as it's supposed to be. I don't actually know how to do a pre-flight in the Citation, but that doesn't matter. We're just going to walk around it real quick. We're going to Fort Smith today, and then we have another very quick turnaround by 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 local. Fort Smith, Arkansas, I should clarify. So we've got, what, a 3-hour flight approximately. I'm going to go through the briefing here in a second once we get on the airplane. So if we take off by 2, we'll be on the ground by 5, and that's a half-hour turnaround. So we're going to have to be pretty on our game today. That's going to be the focus of this video today. It's challenging because, well, we want to be as quick as possible. We also want to be safe. So for as much as it sucks getting yelled at by your passengers and company, we also want to make sure that we aren't putting any lives in danger today. So with that out of the way, it looks like everything's here. PO tube covers are removed, static port, all that shit is good. And of course the wing we said we already got before we did the intro. So we're going to hop on board and I'll see you all in the cockpit in 1 second. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and follow the exact same checklist that I did last time. This is the cockpit of the Citation, exact same one as last time. So cockpit items, verified circuit breakers are all, oop, and there's a little bit of a game lag, but that's okay. Looks like they're all in on my side and on the first officer side. Standby power switch, we just test by pulling that down for 1 second. Green light, and then leave that on. Let's see, battery buttons are all going to come on, and we just want to not move our camera when we do this because it does lag the game out a little bit. And Garmin displays are all coming up, verified that we've got voltage right there. It says external power is available, but let's just go ahead and get our APU thrown on here in a second. So just verify everything here looks as expected. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and just fire up our APU, leave that on start, and then you should see, yep, there's the RPMs coming up right now. Alright, there's our APU on, so we'll just go ahead and say, looks like our APU generator should already be left on, and you can see our voltage are now 0, so that means that we're not losing, or our amperage is 0, so we're not losing any draw from our batteries, so that's all good. That means our generator's working. Alright, they're going ahead and refueling us right now, and you can see we've got that 74 total, which is what we want, 37 inside. That's great. We're going to lose just a little bit from our APU drain in the left tank, but that's fine. Turn the flight directors on, engage the autopilot, and then press the disengage button and make sure that it actually, yep, that did its job, and then you press it again, otherwise it won't re-engage. So that's all good there. That's our cockpit items checklist complete. We still have 15 minutes before our 3 passengers show up down for Fort Smith, so let's just go ahead and brief our flight while we have a little bit of time.
Red back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have whiskey.
Alright, we have whiskey, there we go, so let's go ahead and punch in, well actually I can just get rid of that and then just leave that on standby. I'm going to go ahead and punch in our flight plan now that we have that, and I'll see you guys all in 1 minute for the briefing. Okay, I just went ahead and loaded everything here into our FMS, so you can see we actually are following a couple airways, high altitude IFR airways, but unfortunately it's not going to let me just punch in the Quebec or Juliet routes, so we had to push in all of our waypoints manually, but that's okay, you didn't have to deal with that, only I did. So taking a look at our weather minimums here in Ithaca, we've got taking off runway 32 today, winds are at a 350 at 12, a little bit windy but not too bad. They want us to climb on a hand of 325 up to 1600, and then we'll go ahead and proceed on course. No takeoff minimums, well, let me rephrase, standard takeoff minimums for runway 32, which we know we don't have to worry about. We're in a Cessna Citation, so we're all good there. Just know that our heading will be 325 up to 1600, so let's punch in runway heading. Anyways, with that all being said, let's go ahead and do a thorough departure, or not departure, but just crew briefing. We're taking 7400. Our alternate is Wichita, Kansas. The weather currently down in Fort Smith when I check the TAFs. Possible chance of thunderstorms and or some light rain, and between 700 and 2,000 foot ceiling. So really not beautiful. Here in Ithaca, it's not looking much better. No thunderstorms, but just some crappy ceilings and a little bit windy. Ironically enough, between Ithaca and Fort Smith, it looks absolutely beautiful, so that's a little bit funny. Anyways, keeping the ball rolling here. Let's see, just taking a look here, our alternate, we added an extra 1300 for our alternate. Estimated time will be 2.5 hours according to this, if we can follow its performance that it wants. We'll keep the plane going as fast as we can here, for obvious reasons. Taking a look, that's just our route. That's exactly what I just punched into our FMS, so that's awesome. And you can see if we have to go our alternate, that's what we're going to punch into the FMS. So anyways, 3 passengers on board. We're going to punch that all in 5 minutes once they arrive. Let's see, looking at a cruise of 430. We're heading westbound today, so I'm going to overrule that and put 420 in, because that would just be stupid, and 0.84 on the Mach. Realistically, we can do about 0.83 on this thing and still be fine. There's the weather I was telling you guys about. So out of Ithaca, currently it's gusting 1.6 out of 340, overcast 2500, 2982 is already in, and basically that's exactly what they forecasted, just a little bit windier, so not bad. Destination, currently it's haze, overcast 3200, and they're saying there's a chance of light thunderstorms and 2500 foot cumulonimbus clouds. And then at 2200, which is 5 p.m. my time, which is when we plan on arriving, it'll be light rain, mist, and overcast 700. And that's going to, well, that's going to remain consistent, it says. So definitely going to plan on taking an ILS into Fort Smith today. Our approach options we'll take a look at in the air. We really don't have time to talk about that right now. Here's all our NOTAMs. Last time I forgot to include this, so just taking a look here. Ithaca, these are all NOTAMs for approaches, so I'm really not worried about that. The Fort Smith VOR is unusable between 270 and 360 radials. That's okay, we're coming from the other direction. Fort Smith wind shear detection is not available. Alright, that's good to know given the weather that we're expecting. And these are just taxiway NOTAMs, so we're not too worried about that. At Fort Smith, runway 26 approach light systems are unusable. Good to know. We can brief all of this later. As long as there's nothing that says we can't do this flight, then we're good. And that's our flight plan. So you can see here, though you can see the bit where we're following the airways, and then after that, I believe this point right here was, which VOR was this? Let me just double check. Yeah, that's Farmington. So that's Farmington right there. Top of descent will be right there. So all this segment that I'm highlighting right now is just direct. And then everything up here is following, I believe it's the Quebec 82, and then there is a brief Juliet airway that I forgot the name of right there. So that's just a very brief overview of our flight plan today. You can see the winds, we're expecting a fat headwind for pretty much the whole flight there to Fort Smith. There you go, that's the end of our briefing. Let's go ahead and do a departure briefing. So, well, actually, let's do our departure briefing once we have our passengers on board and the engines running. So. Alright, it's 1:45. Our passengers just showed up a minute ago. They're getting on board right now. We've got a very kind, our very kind first officers in the back dealing with them right now, showing them what the deal is. I know as captain I should be the one back there doing that. Departure briefing. Our plan of action for today is we're going to go ahead and taxi out onto, let me pull up our taxi diagram on our iPad right here. Taxiing to runway 32 for departure today. Should just be Echo to Alpha. Alpha down all the way to 3-2. We'll go full length, 1 notch of flaps today. If anything happens on the takeoff roll, we got 7,000 feet available to us, so we'll close the throttle, apply moderate braking, come to a stop, and deploy the speed brakes. If anything happens after we take off, we are going to, if we lose an engine, let me rephrase that, after V1 why didn't it accept, because it needs the flaps to be set, so... Yep, all of that is good. So why is that not showing up on here? Probably because we need to set our flaps first. So we'll do that in a little bit. But if anything happens before 108, we're going to bring it to a stop on the runway. After 108, we're going to continue our climb out, delay our rotation to 127, then rotate at 127 and climb out and deal with the issue in the air. We should be able to reduce our power and just bring it back to visually. Given the current ceilings, we should be able to do that. If anything happens after we enter IMC, we're going to continue on our flight plan and climb out and deal with the issue in the air. And hopefully get vectors back for an ILS. If there's no ATC, which it doesn't look like there is right now, we'll go ahead and punch in an approach on our own accord. Other than that, though, assuming nothing goes wrong, we're going to rotate at 112, climb out at 185, at which point we will, upon reaching that speed, punch in flight level change mode, heading mode and get our autopilot on. With the autopilot on, assuming we've passed 1600, which we should by then, we can go direct to our first waypoint of, let me double check. Yep, first waypoint is view, and let our FMS do its thing right there. Verified, yep, nav source FMS. Awesome. Cool. So, with that out of the way, we'll then climb out and just get things going in the air for our arrival into Fort Smith. Yep, our ground crew has got our chocks and all the cones and doors are all locked up, ready to go, so let's hop inside. Thank you guys so much for your help today, and let's get into the cockpit. Alright, park and brake verified real quick is set. Wheel chocks are confirmed removed. Cabin door and curtain is closed. Passenger briefing, we'll say our first officer did that while I was up here getting our V-speeds. Seats are all locked and in position. Seatbelt sign should come on, and we should get passenger safety on as well. We'll go ahead and just check seatbelt signs on. ECAS verified, no abnormal displays, so we're all looking good there. Only yellow indication is for the oil, so that's all good there. Recon lights are on, and we'll go ahead and punch the anti-collision light on as well. Clear behind. We got that signal from our ground crew. We'll go ahead and give them the startup signal. I just did that with my hand. You couldn't actually see that. Fuel shut off, checked off. I don't know where that is, but we'll go on to the. That was our before start checklist complete. Startup checklist. Beacon light is on. Throttles verified are both idle. Right engine. We're gonna go ahead and start up number 2 first. So go ahead and guard that. Hit that button and get that engine fired up. Ignition, you can see it's rising. And there's fuel being added to the engine. Give that a second to stabilize, and then we'll be ready to fire up number 1. So there you can see our generators coming on there. Starter disengaged. You verified that down there. And we'll give them the signal, letting them know we're ready to start number 1. Down here, we'll go ahead and make sure we can get fuel on. Punch that. And you can see number 1's firing up now as well. Alright, that's 2 good engines verified. Real quick, continuing with our startup checklist. With both engines on, monitored and stabilized, verified our gens are both on, and it looks like they both are. We'll turn our APU gen off, and we can verify that they're on without dropping amperage for our batteries. So, for taxi checklist, flight controls verified real quick. I'm just going to do this with my yoke. They are, in fact, full left, full right, back, forward, and we'll do a box, and I'll check my rudders. Yep, all looking good there. Awesome. Flight controls free and correct. APU verified is off. Speed brakes checked, retracted. Flights and instruments and avionics are all looking a-okay. Let's get 1 notch of flaps down, and now you can see our V-speeds are there, so that's awesome. And ice protection, we're going to go ahead and set that before we take off. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and call up for taxi. Well, mistake number 1 of the day. With 5 minutes left to go, I just realized that we didn't actually file our flight plan, so let's just real quick do that. We are Ithaca, bound for Fort Smith, alternate Wichita. Departure time is in 5 minutes, so at 20:15, so 200 Zulu. Time en route, estimated 2 hours 30 minutes, enough for 3 hours 30 minutes of fuel. Cruise speed is something, doesn't really matter, just leave that and set our altitude to 420. Routing will be direct view, Quebec 82, JHW, Quebec 29, creep, and Juliet 110 to Falls, direct FAM, that's Farmington, then direct Fort Smith. Awesome. Send and receive. File flight plan. Awesome. Cool. Other than that, though, you can see no ATC online, so we're just going to go to 22.8 and taxi on out of here. Ithaca traffic citation 39er Charlie Juliet is taxiing runway 32 via Echo and Alpha Ithaca. Alright, let's go ahead and get this off. Flash our taxi lights so they know we're ready to go, and give it a little bit of power, just like this. Yep, you can see we're moving. Test our brakes, they're working good. Keep our power just up a little bit more than that. This thing requires quite the bit of power to get going. And you have to remember, we are a little bit heavy today. So let's just keep this turn going. And there's Echo right over there. So let's get on Echo. And I'll keep the checklist going since we are running just a few minutes behind. Not a huge deal, but still. All right, we're on Alpha now, taxiing down to runway 32. Let's go ahead and just take a very quick look at our before takeoff briefing. Flaps verified, or before takeoff checklist, I should say. Flaps verified are set 1, and we should see that on our displays right there. Speed brakes verified are retracted. Trims verified are set for takeoff. Should be anywhere in that green range. I've noticed 4.1 works. Around 4.0 works pretty good. Ice protection, we'll go ahead and punch those all on since we will be going into known icing conditions here in a minute. Nav source verified, they want us to cycle it. Yep, you can see a change there when we cycled it, and make sure that's on FMS, which is what we want. Speed knob verified is set to manual, which is what we want, and 185 on standby. Crew briefing we already did and complete. We're going to take off, fly runway heading initially, punch our autopilot on, and as long as we are doing in a stable climb out above 1600, we'll punch in direct to view. If we have any troubles before 108, we're going to stop our takeoff. If anything happens after 108, to delay rotation to 127. And if anything happens after we enter IMC, we're going to continue with our planned flight and punch in the approach into Ithaca. Weather radar really not required. I don't actually know how to activate it in this, but I imagine, well, let's not deal with it right now. Let's just get out of here. Once we're clear for takeoff, we'll go ahead and do our final checklist, and we'll be ready to go. I'm going to bring our throttles back right now and just announce we're departing, punch our lights on, and we can hopefully make this a rolling takeoff at exactly 2 o'clock p.m., so that's good. Ithaca traffic, citation 39er Charlie Juliet, taking off runway 32. We'll be making a eastbound departure, Ithaca. Alright, with that on, lights on, we'll go ahead and punch this. Make sure your seatbelts are fastened and we're ready for departure. I'm just gotta yell at our passengers real quick. Slow it down because our game's lagging out a little bit. Flight controls verify one last time. All free and correct. Exterior lights on, ice protection we already set. And verified no alerts. It's warning, yep, ice protection all on. Clear, final approach is clear. And our runway is clear. Runway 32 now. There we go. Press F, make sure that we're all good there. Let's start to introduce a little bit of power. So there's right around 50%. Make sure everything's looking good and in the green, and let's add takeoff power. Don't really need to go full toga, let's just hold it there. Airspeed alive. $80 knots, continuing. V1, rotate, just hold back a tiny bit, and there's our V2. There we go, now we're going. Positive rate of climb, landing gear coming up. Just waiting to hit that 185, then we'll punch flight level change. We passed 1600, so we can, as soon as we want, yep, level change mode on, wait for that to intercept. And right around there, we'll say head-in mode on, autopilot on, verified, let the plane do its thing. Already in the soup, so let's go ahead and say 1 notch of flaps up. And verified, yep, flaps are retracted. Let's go flight plan, view, and just direct to activate. And now I hate when it does that. Now if we just punch nav mode on. Plane verified is, yep, turning direct view. Awesome. Speed is still increasing. I notice it does that, but that's okay with our flaps retracted. Let's go ahead and punch in a, we'll do 230 for initial until we pass 10,000 feet. And we've punched above the clouds. Look at that, folks. Still continuing our climb out, though. Let's go through our climb checklist. Landing gear verified is up, and flaps verified are, in fact, all stowed. Throttles we should set to climb mode, so we do have an auto throttle on this airplane. Let's verify, well, yeah, we'll leave the throttles where they are for now, and I'll just press, not toga, but if I press auto throttle, it's going to increase a little bit for us. just because we want it on climb mode. And now we'll watch it climb like a rocket, about to pass through 10,000 feet. Ice protection, actually, now that we're passing 10,000 feet above the clouds, we can turn them all off. Did that actually all turn off? Almost. Now all ice protection's off. Passing 10,000 feet, now we're going to interrupt our checklist to go 270 on the speed. And we turn our lights off, everything else verified. Oh, pulse light should have been on before, that's my fault. And we'll turn the seatbelt sign off, let the passengers know it's safe to walk about the cabin. Anyways, after takeoff checklist, pressurization verified is also... Well, actually, let's restart this checklist because we got interrupted a few times. Landing gear verified is up, flaps verified are up, throttles verified are set to climb mode, and auto throttle is engaged. Ice protection is no longer required, so they're set off. Seatbelt sign is set. Altimeters will be set upon passing 18,000 feet, and exterior lights are all set. Checklist is, after takeoff checklist is now completed. Ithaca traffic, Citation 9 Charlie Juliet, is now passing 16,000. We're clear of the area to the west, Ithaca. Alright guys, well, we're currently at flight level 420 still, now in Indianapolis Center, talking to them. You can hear them in the background. I just turned them down a little bit so I can talk about this for a second. I was looking at our approach, and you'll notice this is a very funky little approach. Looking at my iPad right now. We've got just a normal ILS for runway 8, and then you can see this funny little line here. It almost looks like a semicircle. This is what's known as a DME arc. Now, it looks scary at first, I know. Basically, the idea is we're going to overfly AWIJ and then fly a flight path that will always keep us within at exactly 17 miles away from the Fort Smith VOR. So you see Fort Smith VOR right here. We're going to intercept AWIJ, which is off the 297 radial of the VOR, and then from AWIJ, we're just going to keep this kind of south-southeast heading going in a way that we maintain exactly 17 miles from the Fort Smith VOR, and we'd have what's called a DME, distance measuring equipment, for that. We can spend all day talking about, well, not all day, but like half an hour to an hour talking about the techniques to fly in a DME arc, especially without a GPS. But luckily for us, we have a GPS. So maybe I'll go ahead and talk about this more in depth in a future video and maybe actually shoot one without a GPS. But for as long as we have a GPS, we can just punch in this approach and the plane will fly it for us. We don't have to worry about tuning our different nav radials, intercepting at different radials, and constantly maintaining that 17-mile distance. The plane should be able to do that all for us. But just something funny I thought I'd point out about this approach. We still have about an hour and a half before we really need to start planning for everything. So I'll go ahead and see you guys then. Just wanted to take a look and point that out.
UPS 478 in center. Citation 9 Charlie Juliet, climb and maintain flight level 430. Gonna have to break out the spacesuit.
Alright everyone, we just got handed off back to CTAF. We just left Indianapolis Center and Kansas City's offline, so you can see now we're 18 minutes out from the Farmington VOR. So let's go ahead and just start to get an idea of what's going to happen on the ground. Obviously, we're going to land, taxi to the FBO. In fact, let me start sharing my iPad screen. So you can see after completion of the ILS, we're going to land here at Fort Smith. ATIS is on 26.3. Let's just punch that in real quick. We're going to land runway 8, exit to the left, and you can see the FBO is labeled off there. Air National Guard we're not going to obviously go to. So that being said, we know where we're parking. Let's take a look at our departure minimums out of Fort Smith. Takeoff minimums for runway 8 will be a 304 foot per nautical mile climb out up to 800. That's not a big deal for us. Departure procedures, let's take a look at our next page. Only exists for runway 2 and 26. So we're not going to take either of those, so we know that we're fine for our departure procedure. We'll just take off and proceed on course, assuming we don't have any ATC services. So now let's take a look away from our iPad for now, and let's go ahead and pop open our sim brief. So I just went ahead and punched in our destination and our departure airports. So Fort Smith to Niagara Falls. METAR ceilings are reported 3,900. It's still VFR though, and we're going to be arriving within this time block. Broken 35, view 25, plus 6 statute miles visibility. Fort Smith nav for the ILS runway 26 unusable. Well, good thing we're not taking 26 today. That's good to know that we don't really have any NOTAMs for our arrival that apply to us, nor our departure out of Fort Smith and Niagara Falls. We just need to keep in mind one of the runways is closed. It was 10 right, I believe. So 28 right. Yep, we can plan on taking that. Arrival, yeah, 256. So we'll plan on taking 28 right. So I don't really care too much about what this route over here looks like. And that's really just because in real life I'm not the one going through all this. We would have a dispatcher. So everything looks good. We have our passengers and payload. Let's go ahead and save this. Take the Quebec 27 over to Zalda, then Farmington, Victor Hotel Papa to Fargan, and then direct Niagara Falls runway 28 right arrival, which I believe is open if I recall correctly. Passengers, we're going to have 8 on board, 2.3 on the payload total, so we'll just keep that in mind when we do our loading. We're going to do this really as soon as we get on the ground, so we can keep the ball rolling. Then off of that, let's take a look here. They want us up at 450, which is alright, we can do that. And then our top descent will plan for sometime after Brickyard VOR. That's Victor Hotel Papa, so we'll keep that in mind. Block time, yeah, you can see they think our trip will only take an hour 45 minutes, so that's pretty good. Anyway, scrolling back past here, you can see, did we get NOTAMs? Okay, here's our weather information. So this should be exactly what we just saw a little bit ago. Fort Smith, currently overcast 35. Honestly, it doesn't look that bad in Fort Smith right now, but we'll see when we get there. In fact, actually, maybe I should start looking at this over here. It says we're about to break the speed limit. Oh no, we should probably go back to manual and bring that down a notch. That would probably be a good idea. And there you go, 20 pages of information. So now that we've briefed that, let's close out of that. We know that for our departure briefing, we can plan on, in terms of speeds, it's going to be whatever our V1, V2 comes out to be. Probably going to climb out at 185, and we'll just punch in direct to our first waypoint on departure as long as we don't have ATC, and up straight up to 450. We know that we have, 6,000 pounds, 3,000 aside on the fuel, and I believe it was 8 passengers. Total payload should be 2.3, so just got to keep that in mind. Takeoff weight of 31.5. So, and also speaking of the departure, I just want to double check. I can't remember if I already said this or not, but for Fort Smith, you can see departure procedures only. The departure procedure, the ODP only applies to runway 2 and 26, and on the other page, nothing. So no need to worry there. We can just proceed direct to the Fort Smith VOR, and then right onto our flight plan.
Moving northeastbound, there's no arrivals report. Estimated top is at flight level 320. Smooth and above pilot discretion. Descend to maintain flight level 240.
He just said for 39er Charlie Romeo, if we don't hear anything back.
November 39er Charlie Juliet, pilot discretion.
There we
Descend to
go.
maintain flight level 240.
Down to flight level 240, citation 39er Charlie Juliet. Was that a weather report for us, 9er Charlie Juliet?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, 9 Charlie Juliet. Okay, down to 240 at pilot's discretion.
Work 260, as you know. Our ride is smooth, but we are obviously solid instruments.
Roger.
Okay, so we do have a smooth ride report, just reports of heavy to moderate precipitation ahead of us. So good thing we clarified that. I heard 39 Charlie Romeo. I was like, oh, either we have a similar call sign on frequency or we got something else to worry about. So let's just go ahead. Let me move my snack away. I was eating some onboard pretzels, you know, that's how you do it. So at 5,000, Fort Smith VOR, direct, approximately 210 degree, ALT mode off. Why is my VNAV not working? I don't know. ALT off, VNAV on, punch in, VNAV direct, and it's not even going to hold 430 anymore because I have ALT mode off, as I should. So how about this? We're just going to begin a nice normal descent, just using vertical speed down at, I don't know, maybe 500 feet per minute-ish, and we can go manual speed mode, 0.82, I think that'll be a good safe speed to start things down at. So we're still 25 minutes out from Fort Smith, so with that in mind, and we have 24, okay, so let's do 1,000 feet per minute. I think that'll be a safer bet, and we'll keep the fast seatbelt sign turned off for now because we don't really need it. But like they said, the weather report was we can expect some turbulence. So how about this? Once we get down to the once we're getting close to the soup, we'll go ahead and turn ice protection on, seatbelts on, get everybody strapped in back there. Landing data, they're going to give us a VREF of 111 and an approach speed of 122. We're going to go ahead and turn the seatbelt sign on, given that we will soon be entering the soup.
All right, November 415.
And let's go ahead and punch this anti-ice on, just because we know that we will be entering icing conditions here in a few minutes. So, all right, now that we're entering the clouds here, passing flight level 335, going to go ahead and do an actual approach briefing here. Localizer is on 111.3, approach course 080, runway length of 9,300, touchdown zone 469, airport elevation 469. I already read that, that's why I'm kind of going through them quickly. Non-standard takeoff and alternate minimums, and we know that our approach lights are working, so don't even have to worry about that. Just glancing at the rest of this. They're just restrictions for visibility if we don't have approach lights, which we know we do have approach lights, so that's what's good. Missed approach if we can't see the runway by our minimums of 669 if we have the ILS. We'll climb up to 1,000, then make a climb and left turn up to 33 direct to the Fort Smith VOR and hold. Continue the climb once we're within the hold up to 4,000. ATIS is on 26.3. I don't think we're going to be able to pick it up, but we can try. Nope, not yet. All right, well, we'll give that a little bit of time. Like I said, we're still, what, 120 out, I think I saw? 108, yeah, so 120 from the field.
And November 39 Charlie, Juliet, do you need the weather for Fort Smith today?
That would be much appreciated, 39 Charlie, Juliet.
All right, November 39 Charlie, Juliet, the Fort Smith weather, wind 0, 30 at 7, visibility 1 mile, rain, haze, 2,000, overcast, temperature 11. Don't have a dew point reading, and the altimeter is 3011, 3011.
Roger, thanks for the report. 9 Charlie, Juliet. Okay, awesome. So that helped us out a lot. That's basically our METAR report. Obviously, we'll still try and pick it up when we get closer. We know the latest weather. That is good because I was looking at ForeFlight earlier. Oh, and it just updated. Okay, so we have so that's actually really good that they gave us all of that. So latest weather in Fort Smith is now IFR 1 mile visibility, 2,000 foot overcast ceiling. So still going to plan on AWISH for our initial approach fix. Okay, that's loud.
Next time, exit jet 157, so.
Okay, yeah, so still going to plan on AWISH for our initial approach fix. We might just get vectored, though, for the ILS, in which case I'll just flip our...
Golf
in which case I'll just flip our nav source to Loc 1 and take our heading vectors as needed until we intercept. Assuming we do get AWISH, though, we can get down to 3,500 while following the DME arc on our GPS. Then down to by X-ASI, we'll maintain 3,500. Then down to 1,900 after intercept into Jembo. And then by Jembo, we should have intercepted the glide slope. Down to our minimum, 669. will be our ILS minimums. If we don't pick up the glide slope and we're localizer only,
November 905 Delta Mike,
then we'll go down to our localizer minimums of 880. That'll be our MDA. Maintain 880 until we hit the missed approach point.
November 39 Charlie Juliet, that's going to maintain 13,000. The Fort Smith altimeter 3011.
Down to 13,000, citation 9 Charlie Juliet. Alright, we'll go ahead and just punch a level change. Okay, never mind.
I'm with 3813, my apologies. Your radar contact.
Never mind, let's just keep that 1,400 foot
heavy precipitation at 12 o'clock.
1,400 foot descent going.
100 miles in diameter.
I'm sorry, I forgot that with auto throttle on, it'll just pull us all the way down, so let's not do that. Let's just keep doing this for now. You can see how dark these clouds are, though. My golly. Let's go ahead and I'm going to turn my panel lights down a little bit. When it gets this dark, these panel lights become a little bit obnoxious in my opinion, so I'm going to turn those down. Instead, I'm going to turn, let's see, get a nav, little floodlight on down here just so it's not completely black. And then...
The 1125 proceed direct, Big Daddy. I maintain...
I'm sorry, what was that waypoint? Did he just say Big Daddy? I gotta figure out what that waypoint is, but anyways.
And November 39 Charlie Juliet, expect ILS runway 8.
Expect ILS runway 8 into Fort Smith, citation 9 Charlie Juliet. Okay, awesome. That's exactly what we planned for. So we're gonna get ILS runway 8 into Fort Smith. Which we already briefed for, so we know what we're doing. I'm not sure if they're going to give us vectors or if they're going to send us direct to AWIJ, but we'll see what happens. Sounds like we're getting some precip on our windscreen. You might not be able to hear its little tap in. I wonder if those light flashes are lightning. I think we're going to start getting
sorry about that, sir. November 39 Charlie Juliet, descend to maintain 3,000.
Down to 3,000, 9 Charlie Juliet.
Flight level
I like this guy's weather reports. He's doing a good job.
Deviate, please let me know.
We should actually, unironically, okay, first off, we're about to pass through 10,000 feet, so let's get our speed down to, we'll do 240 on the speed. Get that down, and then we'll go ahead and set our runway lengths, lights on, pulse recon lights on. We'll throw taxi on too, why not? That guy is loud. You can really hear now just how much we're getting pelted by the rain. So let's get that down. Okay, so we still haven't been given any vectors for the ILS or any instructions, so if we pass Fort Smith, then we need to call and say, because we've only been told to expect the ILS, we haven't been cleared for it yet. So if we are within 10 miles, we gotta call up and say, hey, do you want us on a vector? Do you want us direct? How do you want us to enter this? Because just saying expect the ILS, I can't just go straight onto the ILS from here. So let's keep doing this for now and see what happens.
November 8-9 Charlie Juliet to right heading 090, or correction, to right heading 290.
Right 290, citation 39 Charlie Juliet.
Citation 9 Charlie Juliet, turn left heading 260.
Left 260, 9 Charlie Juliet. We know our approach speed is 110 and 121 for, 121 is approach, VRAF 110. So, anyways, now that we're being vectored for the ILS, let's go through our checklist real quick. So, approach checklist landed data is confirmed. We have all that in.
November 905 Delta Mike,
ice protection is all on. Flight and instruments, everything there is looking good. Crew briefing is complete. We've already done that. We've already briefed our approach. Passenger briefing is also complete. Seatbelts verified are all on. Before landing, we'll do one established on the localizer over our final approach fix.
Citation Charlie Juliet, turn left heading 180.
Left 180, citation 9 Charlie Juliet.
Citation 9 Charlie Juliet. Clears direct Exactly, cross Exactly at above 3,000. Cleared ILS runway 8.
Cleared direct Exactly, cross Exactly at or above 3,000. Cleared ILS runway 8, citation 9 Charlie Juliet. Alright, we'll go ahead and keep this heading in. Activate approach, punch in direct gassy, so... and nav. Oh, there we are. We're right there. Okay, awesome. Good thing we have half bank turned off. Let's reduce our speed as well down to, we'll say 180. We can, and we can introduce our first notch of flaps, by the way. That'll help slow things down. So, good thing we got cleared when we did, because otherwise we would Probably not have had enough time to punch that in, but just keep this turn going for now. You can see we brought 1 notch of flaps out, plane slowing itself down. So there's our glide slope. So now that we have our glide slope confirmed, we're actually just going to maintain 3,000. Verify nav source, loc 1. Okay, that's what I really need is localizer 1. Verified it is actually, there we go, nav. So you saw the moment that started swinging, we wanted to punch that in. Now we can just follow that and let the glide slope do its thing. So we do see the glide slope is coming in. Maintaining 3,000. Jumbo final approach fix, we'll get down to 121.4, and we can punch in approach mode now on and set altitude to 3,300, just like that. So let that capture. Let's set speed now. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to leave speed at 185, disconnect our auto throttles, and let's just bring our throttles back to so that we can by ourselves maintain 121. Next notch of flaps in, please. Before landing checklist, landing gear will come down right now. Gears down and 3 green. Speed brakes verified are retracted, which they are. Ground spoilers, I'm not sure where they are, and I'm too lazy to find them right now. Passing 140, and autopilot, auto throttle will all be disengaged. So slow us down to approach speed for Jumbo. That's before checklist complete. Okay, let's just increase our throttles a little bit. We don't want to send too much. Let's bring flaps full out now. So full flaps, okay, and you can see the plane's going to rush to try and save itself. Come on, add power, a little bit of power, let's go. I want 120.
Roger.
Or just a little bit slower than I would have liked. Past the 2,000 minimums will be 669 will be our minimums. So let's just hold this for now. Center Citation 39 Charlie Juliet, we're on now. Established on the ILS on a 4-mile final for runway 8.
November 39 Charlie Juliet, runway 8, clear to land to wind 0307.
Runway 8, clear to land, 9 Charlie Juliet, thanks. Right, so yeah, sometimes you gotta probe them because, I mean, 4-mile final in this plane, we're gonna be on the ground here in just a minute. So I'm just gonna keep autopilot engaged until we have the runway in sight. Then let's start now to slowly bring it down to VREF. Keep in mind, as long as we have the approach lights in sight, we can descend below minimums. So that's now 800 feet before minimums. And you can see, we can see the ground, but that still doesn't count. We need to be a little bit, we need to actually have the runway environment in sight. So that can be approach lights, runway lights, all that stuff. Taxi lights don't count, but everything else does. Game's lagging out a little bit, which means that we are very close to the, oh, come on, there we go. That means we're close to the airport, so that's kind of a good thing. Kind of. Not really, since we can't see the airport. Here, let me just zoom out a little bit. We've got now 400 to go.
November 510, or correction, November
300.
510, Hotel Sierra, Memphis Center. Your clearance to some question number 1.
Approach lights in sight, land in, disconnecting autopilot. Taking this in by hand now.
41, turn right, heading 270, vectors foot approach.
Keep our speed as it's doing right now, just slowly decreasing. Maintain that glide. 100 before minimums. Hold this off, hold this off. There's our VREF. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, try and follow the glide to the best we can.
Southwest 716, Memphis Center, hello, climb, maintain flight level 320. Currently, you're in moderate to extreme precipitation.
Pass in minimums landing.
It's about 100 miles in diameter. Tops report at flight level 320.
And of course the lights are all fucked, so let's just...
also, you're right.
I know we're going to dive below it briefly. Let's just bring that down just like that. Close the throttle. Let's see how this goes. I know that's not really stable, but hold it off. Yeah, we're going to land a little bit beyond it, but you know what? There we go, and gotta love that game lag. Come on, there we go. Let's bring the spoilers out now. Yeah, so the game will always freeze on me when I do that. That's just something I've learned. So apply a light brake in. Gotta be careful. Clearly a very slippery runway here.
You want to cancel right now? You can if I can. You know.
Again, very light on the brakes. Very light on the brakes. So obviously that very final approach was complete dog shit. That's as good as it's gonna get in this game. And I'm okay with that. So let's just see if we can make this taxiway, and it looks like if the game won't freeze up on me, we can. Alright, we're on the ground now, so let's just
They can just stay by one.
report we're clear on to... Hold on, I'm going to need to stop and then pull up our maps.
the market.
And we need to, since we're in a controlled airport, we're going to have to come to a stop and then give them a call here in a second. So come to a stop, flaps coming up, speed brakes in, just set the parking brake for just 10 seconds, landing lights off. These are just my memory items. Pulses can come off. And let's go ahead and disengage that. Get rid of our yoke visibility. APU on. Awesome. Okay, cool. Center, Citation 39 Charlie Juliet. We're clear for runway 8 on Alpha. I'd like to taxi to the FBO.
Citation 9 Charlie Juliet, taxi at your discretion. You have a nice one.
Taxi FBO, my description. Citation 9 Charlie Juliet. Good day. Alright, awesome. He's just going to let me do whatever I want, which is sweet. We'll taxi on out of here, which is good because we're going to go a little bit fast here because we have 40 minutes before our scheduled, our next scheduled departure time. Anyways, out of Fort Smith, takeoff minimum for runway 8, 300 foot, 1.5 mile visibility. We're going to be delayed. We can't take off with only 1 mile visibility. We have to wait until it's 1.5 miles. So, wow, that's going to throw a bit of a dent in our plans, but that's okay. The METAR actually should update here in 1 minute. They're supposed to be updated 54 minutes after the hour, and it's currently 4:53. So we'll see if it updates. Hopefully it'll clear up a little bit. If not, we're going to be sitting around for a little while. Wow, this video really didn't turn out as planned. I thought this would be a video on having quick turnarounds. Instead, we've got a video on weather delays. Just swing it around just like this. And just off like... And now we can bring it to a stop right here. Parking brake is now set, and let's just go through our shutdowns real quick. So, shutdown checklist, throttles idle, parking brake set, ice protection. Let's go ahead and turn them all off for now. We're probably going to have to turn them on again before takeoff. So, turn our ice protections off, and verify our APU gen and bleeds are all on. We can go ahead and kill these guys. So, that's going to all settle down for us, and once we get our N2s, in fact, actually, we can turn our seatbelt sign off now. And once we get our N2s,
that was 4137 radar contact 5 miles south.
Let's go ahead and listen to our ATIS first. I'm going to go ahead and turn down COM 1 because we don't really need it anymore. And let's listen to our latest ATIS.
Fort Smith Airport information, Oscar 2100 Zulu. Wind 029.
That was 4137 model precipitation about 12 o'clock and about 30 miles. It's about 100 miles in diameter. Top to put at last at flight level 320. Just advise if you need to deviate.
Altimeter tree 0 decimal.
9567 currently in sub.
I'm going to go ahead and mute them.
Landing and departing runway 8. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have Oscar.
Alright, that's all I need to hear. So, basically, for as long as information Oscar is current, we can't take off. I'm going to take another look now at our weather here on my iPad. In the meantime, let's just make sure, yep, pulsar off, recon's on. Passenger safety can come off too. We'll say the passengers are already getting off, so that's great. We'll go ahead and load up our fuel. We know we want 3,000 aside. In fact, actually, I'm going to load up 32. I'm going to add an extra couple hundred just for the APU on the left side. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, just went ahead and hopped off the Citation. You can see it is absolutely pouring rain here, so let's just head into the FBO before we get too wet standing out here and let them know what our fuel order is going to be. Now for my favorite part of this game, we have to sit and wait for the weather to improve. Alright guys, well this really doesn't look too promising so far. This is what ForeFlight is showing right now. So right now, things aren't looking too promising. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to sit around for a little while and we're going to see when we can get out. There was a temporary and it looks like they updated the TAF for light rain, 4 statute mile visibility after 5 p.m., which it is currently 5 p.m. Overcast 700. Visibility is going to remain low. So let's go ahead and we're going to sit around for a little while because clearly we are not getting out of Fort Smith anytime soon. Alright guys, it's been about 5 minutes and I just realized something. I made a mistake. when I was reading through that, I was a little bit rushed because I was taxiing, and I saw 300 feet ceilings and 1.5 mile visibility. But what it really says is or standard with a minimum climb rate of 304 feet per nautical mile up to 800 feet. I know this thing can make 300 feet per nautical mile, no problem. With that in mind, standard takeoff minimums is going to be a 200 foot per nautical mile climb out, which we know is overruled by what they just gave us here, and 1 mile visibility. We are at 1 mile visibility right now, so we can make this this climb out. So with that being said, we have 20 minutes. We'll say the passengers are just now showing up. We'll explain to them, sorry, everything's running just a few minutes behind. We had to double check our weather situation, which we did. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road right now. So with that being said, I'm going to go into, what's the button I'm looking for? Weight and balance. Make sure we have 8 passengers. We'll say they're 170 each. All right, so we just went ahead and loaded almost all of our passengers. Hold on, we don't have there we go. That's what we're talking about. We got our payload all set. So we're just going to tell them, yeah, just wait in the airplane. It's nice and cozy in there, and I'm going to run and do a very quick pre-flight. Up and outside here in the cold, you can see it's still very rainy, it's still very wet, it's still very foggy and hazy. Our APU is running back here in 9 Charlie Juliet. This plane, yeah, it looks beautiful, but we need to go ahead and get out of Fort Smith. We have passengers who are scheduled to get out of here in 20 minutes, so I'm just going to run inside right now, file, punch in a flight plan, and get the hell out of here. Okay, just went ahead and filed on VATSIM. We still have Memphis Center online, so we'll grab our IFR here in a minute. Let's go ahead and just punch in our flight plan first. Hope it's all the same. Flight plan options, delete flight plan. Now we're going to set our origin. I will include this just so you get an idea of how quickly I have to move here, because I spent about, 2 minutes filing that flight plan. So here, I'll show you guys what this is going to be. So we're departing Fort Smith, Fox Sierra Mike, and enter, and then we'll go ahead and put in, oh my god, yep, that works. Okay, awesome. I thought that said en route Fox Sierra Mike. We'll put in our en route waypoints of Fox Sierra Mike VOR, then to Zalda Zulu Alpha Lima Delta Alpha, then to add en route waypoint, it's going to be Fox Alpha Mike. That's the Farmington VOR we used earlier. Farmington right there. Then we can go ahead and
510 Hotel Sierra,
Victor Hotel
contact
Papa
Indianapolis Center,
Brickyard,
1.55.
Victor Hotel Papa Brickyard. Then from Brickyard, we'll go direct Fargan, Fox Alpha Romeo Golf November Fargan. And then we can go direct to our destination of Kilo India Alpha Golf Niagara Falls. Awesome. We now have 15 minutes before we go, so we're, oh my god, that's not what I meant to say. Remove waypoint. Yep. Done. Destination Kilo India Alpha Golf Niagara Falls. Awesome. Cool. See, this is what I mean. We gotta be quick, but we can't be stupid. So we'll put that all in. Home. And we'll leave weather on for now. With that all out of the way, let's go ahead and go through our checklist. So circuit breakers check, verified, are all in. Standby power, just verify that that's still going to work. So test, green light, and on. Battery buttons checked, all on, good voltage there. ECAS oxygen displays, really no alerts that we should be scared of right there. Bus ties closed, that's fine because we have the APU gen on. External power verified is disconnected. APU verified is on. We can see it's running good there. Fuel, just double check. We have that 6.1 in, which is good. That's more than we need. And autopilot, just verified. If I open this up and said autopilot engage, disengage, yep, that's going to work great. Awesome, cool, and good. 108 V1, 112 VR, V2 127, VFTO 185. So we'll set 185 in for our standby speed. Which we already did. Awesome, cool, and good. Let's go ahead now, call up and grab our IFR to get out of here. Memphis Center, Citation 39 Charlie Juliet.
Go ahead.
Center, Citation 9 Charlie Juliet. When able, we'd like to pick up our IFR to Niagara Falls.
And November 39 Charlie Juliet, clear to Niagara Falls. Radar vectors Fort Smith as follow. Maintain 6000. Spec flight level 45017 is at the departure. Departure with me, squawk 7735.
Clear to Niagara Falls Airport. Radar vectors to Fort Smith, then as filed. Climb and maintain 6000 on departure. Expect flight level 45010 minutes after departure. Departure frequency will be with you in squawk 7735. Citation 39er Charlie Juliet.
Citation 39er Charlie Juliet. Read back correct. Fort Smith altimeter 3013. Expect runway 8 for departure. Call for taxi.
Expect 8 for departure, and we'll call for taxi. Citation 9er Charlie Juliet. Awesome, cool. That's how you do it. So we'll put 6000 standby on our
Delta 1125
altimeter right there. Let's go ahead and just brief this departure real quick. So on departure, well, first off, for our taxi, we're going to be taxiing to runway 8. We do have a general idea of what that looks like. So airport diagram.
Leave my airspace for change advisory approved.
Just take alpha down to the end and then take off runway 8. 8,000 feet of runway if anything happens before V1 of 108. We're going to bring the throttle to idle, apply some moderate braking, just be careful with the slippery conditions. Obviously deploy speed brakes and bring it to a stop as soon as possible. If anything happens after 108, we're going to delay our rotation to V2, which I believe was a 127, and climb out, deal with the issue in the air, let ATC know we need to turn back, and hopefully we'll get vectored. If anything does happen, but otherwise, assuming everything goes to plan, we're going to maintain, rotate at 112, and then maintain just a good climb out up until 185. Then we'll punch in flight level change mode, heading mode, and expect vectors by ATC up to 6000. If we level off, or to the Fort Smith VOR eventually, so we'll make sure that's on standby, ready to punch in. Initially will be 6,000, and then up to 45010 minutes after departure. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Nope, it's just me. Okay, great. Departure briefing complete. Passenger briefing is with the, is going to be done by my first officer. We'll say he already did it, and he's going through the checklist right now. He just heard that, so that's awesome. So, departure briefing before takeoff checklist, or sorry, before start checklist, part of brake verified is set. We can see that down there. Wheel chocks are removed. We'll go ahead and just talk to our ground controllers. We'll say they already did that. Awesome. Cabin door closed. Passenger briefing complete. Seats are locked and in position. Seat belts. We'll go ahead and turn our fast seatbelt sign on, and passenger safety on as well. Recon lights verified are already on. Clear behind ECAS. Check that's good. We'll go ahead and give the ground crew our signal. We're ready to start number 2. And we'll say they just gave us a thumbs up. So that means the area is clear. Let's go ahead to the engine start checklist. Beacon light is going to come on. Throttles verified both at idle. Go ahead and punch this cover up, and we'll start up. Oop, it's not going to let me start number 1. Why not? We got an issue, Houston. So I punched. Oh, it's because I forgot. I didn't actually click that properly. Let's try that now. So, yep, that's not going to work. But if I punch this now, you'll see. Yep, you'll N2 starting to rise. So that was just me misclicking. Alright, awesome. That's 2 engines started up just fine. Let's go now through our before start, or correction, our start checklist. So with all those on, and the engines both stabilized, left and right gen verified are both on, and if I turn APU gen off, verify, we can verify that by saying there's no drop in amperage with our batteries. So APU gen is now off, and bus tie verified is open. APU gen off, and we'll kill the APU. Alright, before taxi checklist, flight controls, just real quick, verified. Once again, left, right, back, forward, do a box. Awesome. Flight controls are free and correct. Check speed brakes are retracted. Flight instruments are all looking good. We already have everything set up here. Ice protection, you know what? I am actually going to turn ice protection on here on the ground, just so that we know that we don't have any ice building up on us by the time that we're to the runway, if that makes any sense. Okay, I just need to double check. It's still Oscar, and I need to grab the altimeter because I forgot earlier. Also, we need to make sure our flaps are down, and yep, and now we can see our V speeds are in, so that's awesome. We'll give them a call now. Memphis Center, Citation 39er Charlie Juliet. We're over at the FBO here at Fort Smith. Like to request taxi for departure.
Citation 9er Charlie Juliet, runway 8, taxi via Alpha.
Runway 8 via Alpha, Citation 9er Charlie Juliet. Awesome.
Delta 1125,
we'll go ahead and
runway 4 right.
Release the parking brake, give him a flash of the taxi light, and you can see we're rolling now. And I guess this is a downhill. bit because we were already rolling there for a little bit. Ground crew's not going to be very happy with us, but we'll go ahead and get ourselves positioned over to taxiway Alpha, give the ground crew a wave, and let's get out of here. So Alpha is just going to be right down here, and we'll follow that for departure. We still have 5 minutes before our promised departure time, which is better than I thought given the weather delay we had. And let's go ahead now and take a look at my documents here. So before takeoff checklist, flaps verified. Well, I just set that. We're flaps 1 for departure. Speed brakes verified are in fact retracted. Trims I already set for takeoff, just verified. Yep, we're in the green arc there.
And Memphis American 133.
Verified, we are set to
you leave my
FMS right there. Speed knob verified is set to manual, and set nav source. V speeds are all displayed. Crew briefing, so we already did that. Once again, just on departure, we got 8,000 feet of runway. If anything happens before V1, we're going to apply some moderate braking, deploy speed brakes. If anything happens after V1, we're going to delay rotation to V2, 127, and deal with the issue in the air. If anything happens in the air, we're just going to keep flying the airplane and let Memphis know we need vectors back to the ILS runway 8 here at Fort Smith. Other than that, we're going to expect vectors to Fort Smith. We don't know yet what our departure heading will be. Probably runway heading, but we'll see. And we'll be initially maintaining 6,000. Anyways, we're ready for departure, so we'll just get ourselves a little closer and we'll call ready to go. And let me verify real quick that my transponder, yep, we're ALT. Let me also make sure, by the way, that we have Fort Smith in and ready to go. So Fort Smith, direct to, and we'll just leave that on, ready to activate. Memphis Center, citation 39er Charlie Juliet, runway 8, ready for departure.
And citation 9er Charlie Juliet, runway 8, clear for takeoff, the wind 0704.
Runway 8, clear for takeoff, 9 Charlie Juliet.
1125, runway 4 right, the wind, correction, runway 4 right, clear to land, the wind 00.
We're going to go ahead and set heading mode. They said expect vectors to Fort Smith. So with that, we're clear for takeoff. Let's get our lights on. Finals clear.
Runway 4 right, clear to land.
Runway's clear. Flight controls free and correct. Verified, no alerts displayed. Only that our anti-ice is all on, which is good. Let's go ahead and get out of here. So we're just going to maintain runway heading on departure, and then if he doesn't call us first, then I'll go ahead and call up once we have the autopilot on. So there's 8. We'll give it a stop here. Make sure my cameras are all set up. We'll increase throttle now to 80%. Or sorry, 45%. Make sure everything's stable. And let's actually use, yeah, we'll go almost full power here. Power set. Airspeed alive. Knots. V1, rotate, holding back a little bit. V2, hold that right there. Positive rate of climb. Landing gear coming up, please. You can see our runway lights there flew right past us. Let's go ahead, flight level change mode on. And once that intercepts, we'll go ahead and hit the autopilot on. And let's just reduce our speed a little bit because we do know that we are, or let me rephrase that, reduce our throttles a little bit since we do know we need to get vectored pretty soon.
Taxi to the terminal V Romeo.
And we'll go we'll start to increase our speed here up to 230 and bring 1 notch of flaps
It's
out.
all right, man. It's payback for all those bag vectors I gave you.
Up to 230 right there.
2311, contact and landing center 132.97.
1 notch of flaps up. And we'll keep our climb going. And departure citation 39 Charlie Juliet with you passing 3,500 for 6,000.
And November 39er Charlie Juliet, your radar contact. Climb maintain flight level 450 and direct Zalda.
Up to 450 and direct Zelda, citation 9 Charlie Juliet. Okay, that's going to change things up just a little bit, but not too bad. So up to 450 set. Just go back and direct to Zalda, activate nav mode on.
Citation 9 Charlie Juliet, verify squawking 7735.
Squawking 7735 now, Citation 9 Charlie Juliet, sorry about that. There we go, that was my fault. I forgot to flip that in. Alright, now we're passing 6,000 up to 450, that was my fault there. Flaps are up, speed brakes up, keep that going for now. Just gonna re-intercept direct to Zalda, passing 7,000 now. After takeoff checklist, landing gear verified is up, flaps verified are up, throttle set, ice protection is going to stay on for now. Pressurization, we can just see there, yep, is all good there. And we'll make sure our altimeters and lights are all set as we pass through our 10,000 and 18,000 foot points. But you can see there's actually a break in the clouds, so that's a little impressive compared to what we got before. Okay, passing 10,000 feet now, we'll go ahead and turn the landing lights on and the taxi light off as well. Everything else looks fine. We'll go ahead and just increase our speed up to 270. And from there, we'll go ahead and just keep this climb going to our transition altitude. All right, just past 270. Let's go ahead now and set our auto throttle on. Turn that on, and it's going to increase to what our climb power should really be. I toned it down a little bit just so everything wasn't happening all at the same time. But now that we're above 10,000 feet, let's just punch it. And you can see now it's going to go up to 6,500 feet per minute. Awesome. That's what we want to see. Okay, that's an amazing mic that I just heard. But anyways, now we've got 90% power, 5,000 feet per minute. I guarantee you we'll break out of these clouds here pretty darn soon. I'd like to add, by the way, now that we have less going on, it's currently 5:37, which means we departed almost exactly on time, which is impressive for me. Looks like we're just now starting to break out of things a little bit, so tell you what, once we pass 30,000, already at this point I'd be comfortable turning my anti-ice off that way, because, I mean, when it's this cold out, like at the temperatures we'd expect from out here, it's very unlikely that you're going to pick up any icing. Believe it or not, it is possible for it to be too close or too cold for ice to develop, and that's below 20 degrees Celsius, and I feel pretty confident that we're below 20. I could actually check right now if I look at my iPad and pick up our Fort Smith to Niagara Falls. There's our clear skies, by the way. Look at that, breaking out into beautiful skies over here over Arkansas. Yeah, above 310, we're well out of our negative 20 range. So there's 310 right now. Ice protection can absolutely all come off. And now that we're out of the clouds, let's turn our fast seatbelt sign off. Awesome, so that's our departure. So I think the only two major mistakes we made was we did forget to set our squawk code. That was my fault, and I should turn half bank on so we don't absolutely mess up the passengers. So forgetting the squawk code, not a huge deal. Pilots forget it all the time. I've forgotten it before. You just get yapped at real quick and you punch it in and you say sorry, exactly like what I did. But still, let's try and avoid doing that. And the altimeter setting, I thought for sure I had, I guess I just need to be more careful. When that says standard barrel, that means that any number in here, it doesn't exist. So it isn't going to be read by our altimeter. So I just need to keep that in mind for future reference. But other than that, I think that's really the end of this video. So I'll include just a few minutes of the sunset we get arriving into Niagara Falls, just for some aesthetic footage for you guys. But really, that's all there is to talk about. So you saw it was supposed to be a video on quick turnarounds. Out of Ithaca, we definitely had a quick turnaround we had to rush for. And same out of Fort Smith, and we got a little bit of interesting weather out of Fort Smith that certainly added a few hurdles we had to go through in order to get out on time. I hope you guys did enjoy, though. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And as always, subscribe for more. Well, you don't have to subscribe, but I hope you enjoyed. I mean, if you want to subscribe, go ahead. You know, I got nothing against that. But regardless, thanks so much for watching and sticking this long. Thanks, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day or night.